Confederate General James Longstreet watched in horror as Pickett's charge unfolded, and what he witnessed changed everything. Today, we're breaking open his eyewitness account that exposes the brutal truth behind this infamous Civil War disaster. From mass confusion to reckless orders, Longstreet's own words reveal why this assault was doomed from the start. Was it bravery or sheer madness? Why did Lee ignore Longstreet's warnings? And what did the survivors really see that day? Stick around as we uncover the untold chaos of Pickett's charge. Straight from the man who saw it all. Smash that like button. If you love real history, sour fool, subscribe for more shocking Civil War stories and hit the mouse notification bell, so you never miss a revelation. Let's dive in. July 3, 1863, Gettysburg. With a single nod, General James Longstreet orders 12,000 men to advance into a hail of gunfire and artillery. But the story you've heard about Pickett's charge is a lie. Tonight, you'll discover the untold truth, hidden for 160 years, from those who were there. This isn't a tale of heroism. Why did Lee ignore every warning? How did the 12,000 men disappear in just 50 minutes? And what was Longstreet's shocking secret? One he took to his grave. The battle was a disaster. With artillery pulled back, ammunition spent, and officers pleading to stop the assault, Longstreet himself confessed in despair. "I prayed for death to escape this hell." This is the past real story, buried for over a century. The South's fate wasn't decided at Appomattox, but here, in the blood-stained mud of Cemetery Ridge. Amid the distant crackle of gunfire, an air of grim confidence hung over the scene. With a quick salute, the officer tipped his hat, swung onto his horse, and galloped off. I acknowledged him with a solemn nod, unable to speak, my voice stifled as if choked by gunpowder smoke. "General, shall we advance?" Pickett asked firmly, his tone cutting through the noise. He then rode off with almost a swagger, his spurs faintly jingling as he joined his brigade. Meanwhile, I urged my restless chestnut mare forward, rushing through the crowd toward Alexander's artillery station, where chaos had taken hold. He reported, his face smeared with dirt, that the reserve batteries were positioned to prevent sparks from the ironclad wheels, a sight that briefly kindled hope in the beggar's purse. The order was absolute, as General Lee had firmly resolved to advance. I urgently commanded him to halt the movement immediately and replenish the ammunition caissons, which were so severely depleted that they were nearly useless in providing proper artillery support. To our dismay, no shot, shell, or powder could be found. The crate stood as empty as a beggar's purse, leaving us defenseless. Worse still, the ammunition for our positioned batteries was so critically low that they could offer little aid. Meanwhile, the enemy's gun teams and artillery pieces were seen hastily retreating toward the rear. The infantry assault meant to accompany them had been withdrawn by direct order of General Lee's Chief of Staff, spreading confusion among our ranks. Riders swiftly carried exhortations down the lines, urging the men to press forward with haste. The general would tolerate no delay, nor would he allow anything to tarnish the honor of the mission. At this pivotal moment, the troops advanced with a swift, bounding energy, like hounds unleashed on the hunt. As officers rode past, they exchanged sharp salutes, their stern faces betraying no emotion despite the enemy's furious fire now raining down on our advancing troops. The withdrawn artillery units had been replaced by fresh guns pulled from the enemy's second line. These new positions would soon prove devastatingly effective. Our column moved forward in perfect formation beneath smoke-streaked skies. The vanguard had barely cleared the path when supporting ranks followed, their bayonets catching what little light filtered through the battle haze. Pettigrew's division picked up pace, their regimental banners whipping in the erratic winds as they descended the slope through relentless enemy fire until the thick gunpowder smoke enveloped them like a sinister fog. Artillery crews, sleeves rolled up in the heat, sent volleys arcing over our infantrymen's heads. Nearby, General Trimble sat astride his gray gelding with the calm demeanor of a gentleman preparing for an evening stroll, though his clenched jaw revealed his true tension. With practiced ease, he adjusted his bridle and posture, while his chestnut hair, uncut for months, lay across his shoulders like a warrior's mantle. The advance began in earnest to the shrill melody of fifes. Our troops maintained flawless formations, correcting their lines with parade ground precision. General Pickett, ever the elegant horseman, guided his dun-colored mount with effortless grace as the column passed our artillery positions. The bare-headed gunners stood at respectful attention, their cannons' muzzles yawning wide like bronze hunting hounds ready for the chase. The battlefield became a slaughterhouse as officers and men alike began to fall, some meeting their end with barely a whimper, others dragging themselves toward medical tents in desperate hope, clutching shattered limbs. The enemy's concentrated infantry fire and devastating artillery crossfire tore through our ranks with terrifying efficiency. Well-aimed shots screamed through the air like banshees, carving bloody gaps in our lines. Yet no sooner did these wounds appear than our resolute men closed ranks, their relentless advance churning the earth to mud beneath their determined march. Here and there, entire files collapsed as if struck by divine wrath, falling like marionettes with their strings cut, while elsewhere, soldiers dropped like exhausted birds mid-flight. Colonel Fremantle, conspicuous in his bright British scarlet amidst our sea of gray, rushed forward with premature congratulations for our apparent success. I could only gesture grimly to our decimated lines, now reduced to half their strength. Meanwhile, Colonel Sorrell, a wiry man of iron will, was dispatched to reinforce Pickett's vulnerable rear, while Colonel Latrobe, his saber clattering against his thigh as he rode, carried urgent orders to General Trimble. The situation grew more desperate by the minute. McLaws received orders to push his left flank forward, but the enemy's concentrated fury made progress nearly impossible. Seeing our weakening position, the foe boldly advanced against our supporting brigades. General Trimble's men, though breathing air thick with gunpowder and despair, fought valiantly to fill the breaches left by shattered brigades. Even as Pickett's forces were forced to withdraw toward new defensive positions, their banners dipping wearily in retreat. The battlefield became a slaughterhouse of lead and iron, where field officers fell like autumn leaves, their bodies trampled into the blood-soaked earth. General Lee arrived, his face pale beneath his hat's broad brim, joining us as staff officers struggled to maintain order amidst the carnage. On the left flank, Trimble fought with soldierly precision, rallying his men to fill the gaps left by the fallen. Colonel Whittle of Armistead's brigade, a veteran who had survived wounds at Williamsburg and Malvern Hill, took another shot through his right arm before collapsing beside an abandoned cannon, his hand still gripping a caisson-wheel in death. Pettigrew, though wounded, remained mounted, his voice growing hoarse from constant commands. Yet the enemy swarmed like locusts on our right. Brigadier Garnett fell, then Kemper and Trimble were carried from the field, their fates mirrored by Union Generals Hancock and Gibbon across the lines. Armistead pressed forward toward the enemy's fortified position, planting his hat on his sword to rally his men, but the overwhelming Union forces crushed even his noble resolve. As shells screamed overhead like vengeful spirits, one exploded near me, showering us with dirt. For a brief moment, I shamefully wished for a merciful death, but duty demanded action. I rode to our remaining artillery, resolved to hold the line while a single gun still fired. Pickett, seeing the assault had failed while Union reinforcements kept coming, finally ordered the retreat. Yet there was no panic, only shattered men withdrawing in grim silence, their faces stone. Officers like General Lane, his beard blackened with powder, moved calmly among the survivors, steadying them as the setting sun painted the field in blood-red hues. The grand charge ended not with rebel yells, but with the whimpers of broken men limping back from Cemetery Ridge. The cold arithmetic of war had prevailed. For every Union officer struck down, we had lost 3. The wheat field of Southern valor had met the Union's scythe and been cut down. Longstreet's grim warnings still echo through history like ghosts in the gunsmoke. As the slaughter unfolded, I found myself praying for death to escape the horror. But the deeper question persists. Could this disaster have been avoided? Was this catastrophe fate? Or did Lee's pride chain him to unreasonable orders? Years later, Longstreet would pen his damning verdict. That day, the Confederacy didn't die. It committed suicide. Yet mysteries remain. Why did Longstreet take his full truth to the grave? And what did Lee whisper to his shattered men as they staggered back from Cemetery Ridge? Words so terrible, even Longstreet dared not repeat them. The real story lies buried with those who fell, their unanswered questions as thick as the smoke that covered that bloody field.